Hello once again, everybody. Thanks for tuning into my YouTube channel. This is Justin, Demonic Sweaters, blah blah blah. I'm doing a request here video. It's another tutorial on Milkytracker, and this one's going to be basically about how to get started using effects in Milkytracker. And what I mean by effects, it's not like a DAW where you just click apply reverb or put a plugin on there or anything. Trackers don't work that way. What they do is they have a column here. If you look, or a few columns actually, if you look on, say this is one whole column here, and you have these rows. The last 3 rows are effects, and you see this little pink one. That means basically it's going to be what number you put in there is going to determine what type of effect is applied, and then the other 2 are the parameters of those effects. But before we get started on that, I just wanted to give a quick plug here on my new album, which is Tracker Adjust by Demonic Sweaters. And this one I made using all Tracker software. You can get this at anthillrecordings.bandcamp.com. And what I did is I created 7 songs using Milkytracker as well as Amiga Pro Tracker, and then I played live drums to them. And you might have seen some of those videos on my channel where I was doing that, and I basically compiled all of that music into an album, as well as a DVD that has all of the songs that you see on YouTube with the live sessions, as well as some short films put together by my good friend Fornax Void, David Elsner, over in Switzerland. So it's free to download. You name your own price. If you do buy it, you get one of the bonus items in the purchase. If you pay $1 or more, is you get the digital version of the DVD. It's bundled in there with the download, so you can get that. Just want to make a quick plug of that. It's at anthillrecordings.bandcamp.com/album/tracker-adjust, or just go to Anthill Recordings and you'll see that, as well as a bunch of my other albums. So yeah, that's that. So let's get back to this. And one of the main ways that I learned about all of this crap was just looking at the manual. It's really the best place to look. So I'm not going to go through every single effect, because they all pretty much work the same, well, not the same way, but the same concept of using them in the columns and all of that. And but what I am going to do real quick is just talk about a few different things that you're going to read in here. If we click on the first effect that's listed, the arpeggio, this thing really is not an arpeggio. All it really does is just, well, you can just read the description here. Arpeggio quickly alters the note pitch between the bass note, C4, which is this note right here, and the semitone offsets, X and Y. So that's going to be this 3/7 that they're talking about. So basically what that means, what I just read, is we have the note C4. That 1 there means it's the first sample. And 0 is going to be the effects assignment, so it's telling it that it's an arpeggio. And 3 and 7 are going to be, the first note of the arpeggio is going to be the 3, and the 7 is going to be the second note. And the 3 will create a D sharp 4, and the 7 will create a G4. So let's go ahead and try that and hear what it sounds like. Let's go back to Milkytracker here, and I'm going to put in a few notes and make sure I have a sample in here. Yeah, I do. So one thing you'll notice about this effect, this is something that's used all the time in video games. Like all the time. I'm not going to do any, I'm not even going to try to make a song. I'm just going to show you what the effect does. So in Milkytracker, one thing that's weird, you actually can't enter zeros. If you try to, it'll just go down a space. So what you can do, though, is when you just put in the 3 there, it'll automatically put in the 0. So let's just go ahead and put in all these 3s first. And then we'll put in the 7 here. And now let me play that, and you can hear what it sounds like. So yeah, that wasn't really the best sample to use. It's kind of a bass. Let me see if I can, let me try a different one. Hold on. You get a better idea of what that sounds like. And actually no, I know what I did wrong. I should put these in all the way down to keep the arpeggio going. Because if you put them on just every note like that, it's gonna, basically it doesn't keep the arpeggio going. So you'll notice now how it sounds. But still, that bass sound isn't actually that good for that. So let's pick some other sample. Or a different note. Actually, let's just go to a different sample. Casio, that's probably good. Alright, let's hear that. There we go. That's what I was talking about. It's the very stereotypical video game sound that you hear in like a million games, and a lot of chiptunes use this effect. It's a very cool sound. And you can do different things with it too. You can kind of change it up if you play with these notes. You'll see what happens if we put a 9 in here on some of these. Yeah, really didn't change it that much, but let's do one of the. Let's do this one. Should like a, I don't know, a 1. So yeah, you'll just have to get the feel for that. You know, you just play around with things, you see how they sound, and you know, experiment a little bit, and then you'll start to notice how the different numbers affect the sound of the arpeggio. So that's basically the arpeggio. What else should I go over? Let's see. Portamento up. Actually, this is basically, I should talk about both of these. You have 1 and 2 are both Portamento. What Portamento is basically, it means when the note slides to the next note. So like when you hear like a keyboard going like, that's Portamento. So basically you could do that if you're doing up, you're going to use 1 in the effects column here. Or if you're doing down, you're going to do 2. So let's do both first. Let's go to 1 for the first half, and then we'll do 2 for the second half. And I have to remember what these parameters mean. Oh yeah, so basically it's just the speed that it goes. So if we do like, if you have a single digit in there, you know, and zeros in the first one, it's going to be pretty slow. Let's just try that first. So let's just put 0 in here. Let's go, I don't know, 9. That might be too fast, but let's see how it sounds. Yeah, okay. Let me change this a little bit. I mean, that of course is something you could do, but that's not exactly the sound that I was looking for. So let's get rid of some of these. Oops. Let's just get rid of all these. I'm going to put in some different stuff here. Okay, and then we're going to go. Alright, let's hear that. Alright, so you can hear how fast or how quickly that basically that note bent because I have a 9 in there. So if we lower this to 3s, let's hear what that sounds like. Or even slower, you can go 1. So you get the idea. It's basically just a note bend. That's basically what it is. And the higher value you have in the second 2 columns, the faster it's going to go. Now this one, I actually like using number 3 a little bit better than number 2, even though sometimes it's a little wonky. But the thing with number 3 is, you'll notice on number 1 and number 2, the notes, they just sort of bend to wherever, you know, like the actual parameters end up. It'll just bend that note, like, and it's not bending to the next note, really. It just bends to wherever the parameters say it's going to go to. But with 3, it basically controls the bend to go to the next note in the sequence. So when you have 3 in there, let's just hear how this sounds. Yeah, and that's the thing I was saying that's wonky. Like, if you have it on the first one, it doesn't work. I've never quite understood why that is. I think it has something to do with it needs to have that first note there to establish what the next one is going to be bending to, I guess. I don't know. That didn't work. What am I doing wrong here? Yeah, this one always screws with me. Let's see. Oh, right, okay. I got it, I remember. So that was way too fast, and you don't really need to have... Let's put this at, like... Actually, no, let's put those back to 0. And this, let's put to, let's say, 5. Let's delete this note, because this note basically is the same as the one before it, so there's nowhere for it to bend to. That's what the problem is. So we get rid of that. Now let's hear it. Oh, I deleted the wrong one. I'm an idiot. Alright, let's try that. Okay, did you hear how it bent to that note? So this one is actually, in my opinion, if you can get the hang of it, a little bit more useful than the first two. But although I do use the first two from time to time too. It just depends on what you're doing, and you just play around with stuff, and you'll get an idea. You know, this is basically just to point you in a direction. Next up, we have Vibrato. So Vibrato, actually I haven't used this in a while. I can't remember if it's like a real vibrato or a tremolo. Let's see. So let's just go ahead and put 4 in here. And speed is the first parameter, and depth is the second parameter. So let's go speed, let's put that to, say, I don't know, 4. And then depth, let's put it all the way up to 9. Or actually, I guess F would be all the way up, just so you get a drastic effect here. Alright, let's hear how that sounds. Okay, so it is an actual vibrato, whereas I think there is a tremolo effect as well. Portamento with note volume slide. This one I don't think I've ever used that. Oh yeah, tremolo effect. I'm going to skip over some of these just because, I don't know, I just am. I mean, the video ended up being like ridiculously long, so I'm just going to skip through some of these and use the ones that I kind of know about. So let's go to 7 here. And it's the same deal, it's just speed and depth. So let's hear that. Yeah, I really like that one. So let's speed that up a little bit, because it's really cool when it's fast. Yeah. So you could get some really, really cool, like, the faster it goes, the more abrupt it is. And I kind of like that. It's like a very choppy sound. It's kind of cool. Note panning position. This one is pretty important. And there are some other things you can do with panning. But we'll just talk about this one for now. And basically what this is you have 8 tells it that it's going to be panning, and then the following 2 parameters are the position. So it just says right here, if you look on the manual, 0, 0 is far left and FF is far right. And that's pretty much all you need to know. So, like, if you haven't learned about hexadecimals yet. You have to do that before you can even do this, but you should have if you haven't, or if you're watching this tutorial, you probably know a little bit about them. It's not, Milkytracker doesn't work like 1 through 10. It works 1 or 0, 0 through FF, which is hexadecimals. So let's just hear that, and then we can play with some panning. We'll just do, for the first couple, we'll do 0, 0. I'm not sure if my thing is recording in stereo or not, so I don't know if you'll be able to tell what's going on here. Second few, let's do FF. And then the last ones, let's just, I don't know, let's just do like somewhere in the middle. Oops. We'll change it a little bit too. Alright, let's hear that. So yeah, it's just panning. You can play with those. Sample offset. This one is useful if you're doing actual samples, and let me see how to describe this. If you have a longer sample and you want to start the sample at a different part of the actual sample, like say it's like a voice sample or something, then what this sample offset does is it'll start the sample at a different spot in the sample. So that's actually really cool. I don't have anything loaded in here to demonstrate this for you right now, and I'm not going to either. But that's just know that you can do that with that. You can basically skip the first part. It's kind of hard to figure it out, the math-wise, but if you just guess and like kind of play with it, you'll get something. Volume slide. This one is basically like, imagine like a volume pedal on a guitar, or a volume knob on a guitar, like hitting a note and sliding the volume up. Jump to order. This one I don't think I've ever used. I might have. Let's see. It says immediately breaks the current pattern and jumps to XX in the pattern. Order table, POT. Pot, dude. Can be used to divide a song into separate looping sections. Oh yeah, I have used this. This one's pretty cool. This is more advanced usage if you want to use basically effects to kind of change your arrangement. And it's cool because it allows you to, you can keep the sequences or the pattern length down and basically use these things to jump around within the different patterns and blocks. So that's pretty cool. So that's one you can play with. Note volume, pretty obvious what that does. Pattern break. This one I use a lot in ProTracker, because the version of ProTracker I'm using, I think, is 2 point something. You can't actually change the length of the patterns, so this is the way you do it. You basically use pattern break. I think, is that it? Let me read this, make sure I'm telling you the right one. Yeah, right? Jumps to row XX of the next. Yeah. So what I would do is I would, insert that in, and then just, if you just leave it at 0, it'll just go right to the next pattern in line. So if you have like, you wouldn't really need this that much, or you might. There might be a creative way to use this, and I'm just not thinking of it. But I use it out of necessity in ProTracker. Another thing I should mention is a lot of the trackers, they all use basically the same effects, same effect commands, even way back to Amiga ProTracker, with the exception of Milkytracker has extended effects. And that's something that I'll make a different tutorial on that, because this one's already getting pretty long. This one I'll just keep the basic effects. You can use these effects in Milkytracker and Schism Tracker and ProTracker, and any tracker that you're going to be using will use all of these effects. They may sound slightly different in other trackers, but they will work the same way. Glissando, I don't know if I've ever used that in my life, and I don't even know what the hell it sounds like, so let's just try it and see. Let's see, E. Okay. I have no idea what this is going to sound like. I don't even know what that word means. Glissando. Glissando control toggle on and off. Changes the note portamento behavior, but I see. That's why I've never used this. It sounds kind of pointless. Maybe it's cool, but I don't know. I think you have to use it in conjunction with effects parameters 3 and 5. I think with it in here by itself, it's not going to do anything. Yeah, and I was correct. Kind of did at the end there. But yeah. So let's not fuck with that. Pardon my French. Pattern loop. This one is cool. It can basically, you can, if it's good for arrangements, if you want to just loop a pattern so many times, you don't want to just stack them over here in the, you know, in this area. You don't have to. You can just use that pattern loop thing. Oh, am I in the extended? Yeah, I am. Oops. Okay. How did I get down there? Alright, well, I guess I should stop. All these ones that start with E, basically these are all extended effects. So these are basically, you're going to have E stands for extended, and then the next column is going to be what the effect is. And actually, there is one I do want to talk about on here because it's amazing, and I use it all the time, which is 9. And that is the re-trigger note. And the reason why this is so cool is, let's just, you will see what I'm talking about here. This basically, it resamples the note over and over again until you tell it not to, basically. And 9 is going to be way too much, but if you do like, or way too slow. This one actually you have to think about like, almost like the opposite. Why is this being weird? Okay. Oh, because I just put in the wrong numbers. 9, that's what we want. I may need to put in some more notes here. Okay, so kind of get the idea. This is actually much better on drums. So let's put in some hi-hat here. Wait. You can hear what I'm talking about. Delete all this crap. Okay. Let's go back, put in E. And then 9. And start off with a, I just want you to hear the differences, how this sounds. So we're going to go 4, 3, 2, and then hear that. So what you can do with that is you can basically create rolls and like hi-hat fills and tom fills and all kind of flams, all kinds of stuff. It's really, really cool for rhythms. And even for notes, you can do cool stuff with it. But that's one I use a lot in my music. So yeah, I think that's good enough to talk about for now. And you should have a basic concept of how to use effects in Milkytracker or another tracking software. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe and check out my album Tracker Adjust. Take care.